an excerpt from the book, I want to just tell you a little bit about why I wrote this book, which is a question I frequently get asked in interviews. And the reason I wrote this book was basically because I felt like a failure. About 10 years ago, I found myself, it's what I call my box of Cheerios incident. I was working 12-hour days at a Silicon Valley software company and commuting, it was back in the 90s, it was the internet bubble, commuting an hour and a half each way to and from work down to Redwood City. I got home from work one day and I had a two-year-old, a toddler at home, and I was pregnant with my second child. I was 6 months pregnant. And I got home from work one day at about 8 o'clock at night to find my husband and my 2-year-old at the kitchen table looking at me and asking me what we were having for dinner. And at that moment, I just tried to keep my calm, and I took a box of Cheerios out of the cupboard, slammed it on the table, and I said, "Here's dinner, you can make it yourself," and stormed out of the room. And it was at this point in my life and my career that I realized, despite everything I'd been told growing up, that I could do it all. I could have a successful career, I could be a mother, I could be a loving wife, I could be a devoted daughter, I could have a house in the suburbs, I could do it all. I realized at that moment that I couldn't do it all, and I really felt like a failure. So what I do when I have conflict or angst in my life, I reach out to other women. So I started by reaching out to friends and family, some of whom are here today, who helped me through this crisis period. But I felt like as I spoke to women that there was a story to be told, and each woman had their own story. So what I did was I went onto the Princeton alumni message boards. They're called TigerNet. I thought, if there's any women out there who can figure out how to do it all, or who are doing it all, they're going to be these go-getting women who were raised and educated to do it all. So I went on the TigerNet discussion boards and I put up a posting that said, work-life balance, women, how are you doing it all? And I put a couple of sentences in there about my situation. And the question was, how are you doing it all? How are you balancing work, family, marriage, and the other facets of your life? And I was deluged with responses. I was shocked. I got over 100 responses. Women told me basically, we can't do it all. We never wanted to do it all in the first place. And who the heck ever told us that we were supposed to do it all? This is not liberation, this is hell. So this is the beginning of my book a couple of years back, and the posting went viral. Women started forwarding it to their friends at different colleges, alumni boards. It went to Literary Mama, it went onto salon.com, it just went all over the internet with this question, and it became a call for submissions for an anthology on motherhood and work-life balance. So now I like to call myself a mother on a mission. I'm on a mission to start the discussion with women like you, like us, to figure out what we need to change to make things easier for our daughters, so that they don't, and our sons, so they don't have to face the same conflict, that same feeling of being torn between family and work life, family and work. So that being said, my story is really the introduction to this book, and I decided today actually not to read that. I decided to read a story about Mother's Day in honor of Mother's Day coming up. And it's by a writer, her name is Kathleen Blood, and she's a comedian. She's hilarious. She lives in Connecticut. And her story is called Mother's Day is Not for Wimps. I sit up and fluff my pillows, preparing for my traditional Mother's Day breakfast in bed. Dad and the kids have been busy banging kitchen cupboard doors for the past half hour, but now all is quiet. My husband arrives carrying a tray laden with coffee, a scone, and a random assortment of flowers and branches from the garden, courtesy of my daughters who trail after him. My son loiters awkwardly by the bedroom door. The girls climb onto my bed, snuggling up like cats. And so begins my annual moment in the sun. My daughters present me with their homemade cards. My son hands me a Post-it note saying he will, without fail, deliver a card by the end of the day. Knowing my son, I save the Post-it. One card is shaped like a flower. A single word is carefully printed on each petal. They are nice words. There is, however, an abundance of spelling errors which I wisely choose to ignore. This is very clever, I say to my youngest. Then I read the poem aloud. My mom. My mom is always helpful. She is so thoughtful. My mom gives us everything we need. She is motherly. My mom is always there when I need her. She is very caring. My mom owns a big business. She is hardworking. My mom has many rules that you have to follow. She is strict. My mom always likes to try new things. She is interesting. I love my mom. My eyes well up with tears, and my daughter smiles at me with her wide-set hazel eyes. She is pleased. Scoring a tear on Mother's Day is a home run. I had to make most of it up, she says matter-of-factly. The teacher made us all make cards at school. It was hard to think of enough nice things to say about you. So I copied from my friend Monica. And I didn't write about all the bad stuff, she adds proudly. My warm buzz fades. So much for my moment in the sun, darn kids. How can I maintain the delusion that I am an amazing working mom in the face of such honesty? And because I'm competitive, I have to wonder, is Monica's mom that much better than me? Mother's Day is a form of torture. Even the creator of Mother's Day, Anna Jarvis, turned against it within a decade. Being forced to show your appreciation to your mom on a single day of the year doesn't work for most kids, or for moms, or for dads who have one day to orchestrate a love fest that will sustain their wives through another year of parenting. I prefer my appreciation in smaller, more regular doses. One good thing about Mother's Day is that it gives me a chance to think about how well I'm doing as a parent. I get to give myself an honest annual review. What am I really teaching my kids versus what I think I'm teaching them? I'm a role model, like it or not. Am I a good one? Good or bad, they are learning their future parenting skills from me. This is worth thinking about, especially if I want grandchildren I can tolerate. Luckily, I have children who aren't shy about telling me what I'm doing wrong. My youngest claims she is writing a parenting book based on her experiences as my daughter. Every time I mess up, my daughter says something like, "That's going to be chapter 4 on how not to inspire your daughter to do better in math." It's her way of pointing out my bad parenting moments in a lighthearted, non-threatening way. Surely she wouldn't publish a tell-all book exposing my mommy dearest moments. Actually, she might. This keeps me on my toes, clever girl. I hope she learned this art of war approach from me. I know very well that I am not perfect, and it's not just because my kids tell me so. I most often fail by being too busy. With work and 3 kids, I don't always manage to attain parenting best practices. On the positive side, running my own business allows me to make my own hours. I have the flexibility to go to their school concerts and stay home with them when they are sick. On the negative side, I get to make my own hours, so I work all the time. To quote another one of my kids' Mother's Day poems, "Click, click, click, hear the sound of mommy's mouse. Click, click, click." Yes, I get the message. That said, I firmly believe that my working benefits my daughters. I know that my girls respect the fact that I run a business and I'm a mom. They see how I've managed to work and mother. And while it's not always easy, they know it can be done. I learned the same lesson from my own working mother. So while I often screw up and forget to pick up a kid, and sometimes other people's kids, the psychological damage to my children does not seem permanent. My girls have ambition, but unlike me at a young age, they are also sure that they want to have kids. They are much more balanced than I ever was. Just a few weeks ago, my daughter came back from a playdate and told me she wouldn't trade me for any other mommy she knows. I was very happy. I think it's because I let her eat half a bag of marshmallows, an unintended consequence of not paying enough attention to her. But I have to believe that her desire to be my child runs a little deeper than marshmallow consumption. I like to think that she wants to be with me versus the family with the mansion and the indoor swimming pool because she recognizes my inner awesomeness. She and I might even share some core values and interests as well as genes. I know she respects that I work hard because when she's showing a new friend around the house, she describes my office as a place where my mom runs a big business. In the end, I think she sticks with me because she knows that 8 out of 10 times I put her first. If she really needs me, I will be there. Moms are, after all, forever. When work threatens, my Mother's Day card helps to put me back on the right path. My flower card is taped next to my computer. I'm smart enough to know that the mom so lovingly described in this card is not me. She is a platonic ideal. I will never be that perfect. But the fact that she exists, if only in my daughter's minds, reminds me to quit for the day and go spend some time with my kids while they still want me around.